Alright. Welcome to another video. In this one, we are gonna begin a new series because we're gonna have a look at all the three different Rift Breaker bosses. We're gonna be looking at what kind of boss is it, and of course, how do we deal as much damage as possible to this boss. What kind of builds can we run? What kind of skill mechanics can we run? What kind of tower knowledge skills, immortal setups, etc. Should we be imploring and exploring as we try and deal as much damage as possible to the Riftbreaker boss? In this one, we are going to have a look at the boss named VENOM, what he does, and how to make the biggest hits possible. Before we dive too far in, the regular reminder is spend wisely. You're gonna need a lot of top tier models, a lot of top tier talents, skill abilities, tower of knowledge skills if you are to be on top of the Riftbreaker leaderboards. That means that you are probably spending a bit. You are probably spending little bit, maybe spending a middle bit, or a lot. Regardless of how much you spend, you always want to get as much value out of every single dollar as you possibly can. That means use the campaigns. Huawei has an awesome campaign, the Pay and Save campaign. It is a great one where you spend $1, you get a flower, you collect a ton of flowers, and you redeem them for very big, nice, juicy coupons. You get up to 20% back on your purchases using this campaign. That is quickly gonna stack up for most everybody. Even if you are a small spender, you can get quite significant discounts with this campaign. Definitely something you want to take advantage of. You also want to install the AppGallery app and join their Discord. You gotta install Infinity Kingdom via the AppGallery app to get access to this campaign, and you can join the Discord where there are tons of people who want to help you set that up if that is a problem. They also have a giveaway channel in the Discord. Giveaways, campaigns, quizzes, etc. It's very nice. It is free rewards. We all love free stuff, so head on in there and get yours. So first things first, we gotta understand VENOM in order to combat him. VENOM is the Time Riftbreaker boss that deals a lot of frequent magical damage. So he has the Venom spread ability, a Venomous Outburst, which deals quite a lot of damage. As you can see here, a clear majority and far beyond anything else, it is Venom spread that is killing you. You can't really counter, you can counter it, you can defend against it, but you can't hard counter it. It's not like the old regular gnome bosses where you can run like a Hippolyta hyper energy region build and the boss never does any damage to you. No, this is something that applies every 9 seconds and it just deals damage to you. So bear that in mind, and we need to realize that when we are setting up our march to defeat VENOM. Because it's not an ultimate ability, like I said, it doesn't need energy regen. But something that does need energy regen is Dark Harvest. While Dark Harvest is not the primary threat from VENOM, it is a big deal. So running something like a Hippolyta, reducing the enemy's energy regen, you will deny VENOM from ever casting Dark Harvest, which is very nice. You still take a truckload of damage from Venom spread, but the big bursts from Dark Harvest you can completely ignore and avoid. So do bear that in mind, and Hippo, as always, is just an amazing choice dealing with any kind of boss. But like all the other bosses, all these three Riftbreaker bosses have different kinds of weaknesses. They are weak to certain elements, and VENOM in particular is vulnerable to Holy, Lightning, and Fire. While Holy and Lightning can perform quite admirable, Fire can deal a lot of damage, but on its own, it lacks the sustain and defense to survive for very long. That means that your immortals are gonna be losing troop counts very quickly if you don't defend them, because Venom spread is just truckload of damage all the time to everyone. So you need something to counter that to get fire to really dish out top damage. That being said, exploiting weaknesses is fine, it's good, and Holy can deal a surprising amount of damage because of this weakness. Holy doesn't have any major single target ultimate abilities, but it has great defensives, so you can survive Venom spread for quite a while, and just the elemental weakness means that you can actually deal quite decent damage with a Holy setup to this Venom boss. But weaknesses are not everything. Despite not having a weakness to Earth, the Alexander boss killing builds are still top of the tier. They are still number one. They are still the best thing you can do. Likewise, if you are running a Yoshi, I haven't gotten mine online yet, but he will deal massive damage to this boss as well. No weakness, but he's just that good. These immortals are just extremely powerful at dishing out single target damage. Doesn't rely on weaknesses, they are just very good. So, what we are looking at here, and what I've been doing for Venom, is this. I'm using the weakness, so I'm doing my Holy setup, but I got William in there. I want to buff up the crit rates somewhat of my Holy, and I would get a better Holy result with Kublai Khan in there, because Kublai Khan is very good single target, but I need him in my main boss killing march, just because his buff to Alex gives me an overall advantage in the damage counter. Kublai Khan deals more damage in combination with Alex than he would add to running him in a pure Holy. So I am doing the kind of standard at this point boss killing setup with Alex, Kublai Khan, Xeno, and Quinn. I want to move into Yoshi here eventually, but that is a bit down the road for me. This is what I did, and I dealt quite a decent hit to the boss. 249.2 million damage. Pretty good. My Holy deals decent damage, almost 100 million. It's quite nice. And as you can see, even though I have Charles in my fire, and I'm running Cyrus, so I'm getting a lot of stuns, a lot of controls, I'm not really dealing that much damage. And I think honestly against Venom, Cyrus and the control, that was me trying to get a lot of stuns in there to interrupt his auto attacks, but I shouldn't really have done that because Venom doesn't deal that much damage outside of Venom spread. When you got Hippo in there, there's no Dark Harvest. So I should, if I had Yoshi, I would have put him in instead of Cyrus here. Possibly doing something else, I don't know. But Charles in there definitely helped with my survivability, and it did up the damage overall, putting in Charles instead of William when I tried that one around. Because fire, as I said before, is just very weak to continuous damage in this manner. Control is key. I hinted at stuns, and while Cyrus' ability to stun may not outweigh the bonus damage from Yoshi, you should not underestimate stuns themselves, because stunning Venom, stunning any boss, is incredibly powerful. And especially if you're not energy region controlling Venom, then you can get consistent stuns, gives you a pretty good chance to actually interrupt Dark Harvest casts. So that in itself can be very nice, and it also just prevents the boss from attacking, interrupting abilities, etc. It is very nice and something you should take into consideration. You have it on cavalry, so running calves up front is quite nice. However, stun is not the best control. Confuse, on the other hand, is an ingenious control. What you can see here is it's a Tom Rees look using Confuse on the boss, and as you can see, Dark Harvest cast, but it doesn't deal any damage. It goes into the void. That's incredibly powerful, while Stun grants you the ability to interrupt something. Confuse just prevents the entire thing outright. It is incredibly powerful. You can do this with, Instigation, the Tower Knowledge talent skill. I am always using Instigation when fighting these Riftbreaker bosses. You can do that with Tomiris. I am not sure I pronounced that right. Or you can do that with Loki. Loki, of course, being the absolute best one at it and an incredibly powerful immortal. He is the reason why the big whales who doesn't pay attention to setting up their fights still deal massive damage to these bosses. It's because Loki's just that damn fucking powerful. Stuns grants you a chance to interrupt, but as I said, Confuse is just far better. As you can see in this little clip with a fire boss, it is just to sort of show very clearly what does Confuse actually do. Because as the boss gets his ultimate ability off, or its ultimate ability off, it goes into the void. Because the boss is confused, it can't hit your immortals with its abilities. Very, very powerful control mechanic. As I said, I am always using Instigation. I don't have Loki or Tom Rees, so I am using Instigation for mine. And like as you can see here on my Xeno, I got 3 hits of Instigation off. That is 12 seconds where the boss can do absolutely nothing. It is brilliant, and if you get it on a Dark Harvest cast, the entire cast is just negated. It goes into the void. It is very powerful. We also have to deal some damage though. Controlling is great and it helps you survive and it gets you to a place where you can deal damage. But you do also need to deal damage. And for this, you need to rely on the rolls of your immortals, equip the best defensive measures on your healers, your supports, etc. And make sure that your offensive capabilities are there as well. Make sure that your damage dealers are running the best Tower of Knowledge skills to pump up their damage as much as possible. For this, I have some general rules. I have a couple different, general things. I will show you guys my builds later, but first I have sort of some general rules of thumbs which you are gonna be able to rely on. First up is high energy regen. So equip immortals like Hippolyta and Kublai Khan with high energy regen to enhance their offensive capabilities. This is incredibly important and something that will net you a ton of damage, as well as some control for Hippo, and as well as consistent debuffs from Kublai Khan to all your other physical damage dealers. Energy regen builds on these two guys is massive and something that you want to do. You also want to do single target damage abilities. So let's not do Garrote and DB and stuff like that, because we don't care about AoE. We got boss, we got one target. That means that buffing up physical attack on normal attacks, like on your Alexander with Berserk and Anger, is awesome. And it means that a skill like Combo is brilliant. It deals a ton of damage in single target, and in combination with something like high energy on an Alex, or maybe even with a Wind Rage. I got my Manko, not someone you think of as a single target damage dealer, but Manko out DPS'd my backline physical damage dealer, even though he had Sniper, with just combo Wind Rage. It's great. But I mean, you also gotta think about the rest of the stuff, like what kind of immortal is this? Should you buff up these are physical damage? You do the same on magical damage dealers, right? So you do concentration, you do Stormeye, you do spell disintegration, maybe even on a support to get the debuff, you know, the same kind of thing. The point is that you want to employ single target damage skills. Poison Thorn is great on a mage. Likewise, skills like Anger, Sniper, great on backliners, Gilgamesh, Yoshi. They will deal a ton of damage, especially Yoshi. He is incredible if you run, you know, high damage from Anger and maybe even Onslaught. You can run him in an energy region build as well if you are not using a Kublai Khan or Hippo in the same setup. Run him with AR or something like that. He deals a truckload of damage. Snipe, great. Anger, great. You know, think about single target damage. You also got to have some defensive measures. You got to prioritize skills like Berserk, Resist, healing abilities, these kind of things to maintain your troop count, because you will take a lot of damage. Venom deals damage constantly. It is all the time doing magical damage to you. You can't dispel it. Unfortunately, that doesn't work. I tried running a Theo with AR, as you can see up here. I tried that to get sort of the Venom spread debuff dispelled. That apparently didn't work, unfortunately, but the added healing effect certainly helped keep my holy alive. Likewise, you know, Resist, that is a mandatory talent for, or skill for Venom specifically. Again, Venom spread, it's magic damage. Resist makes you take almost no damage for the beginning of the fight. You take half as much damage for the beginning of the fight. Incredibly powerful. You also want to load up, you know, your auras, your berserk, your weakness, your stuff like that, and your control, your instigation, perhaps your blessings, blessing of war, incredibly powerful. You want to load these up on your supporters, your tanks, and leave your damage dealers to deal damage. Fourth up, utilize confusion. Like I said, instigation, mandatory talent. Always run it. If you don't have a Loki or Tom Briss, always do instigation. Perhaps even do it if you have these guys, because you can just control the boss endlessly. It's very, very powerful and gives you a ton of survivability, therefore allowing for more damage, both from higher troop counts, but also just because you don't have to use as many defensives if the boss doesn't deal any damage. Very good. So the Venom must-haves, in my opinion, you always want to have Resist, because magical damage is awesome. You always want to have Weakness, just because the boss, all of these bosses, don't have a particularly high resilience rate. That means that you can quite easily deal critical hits, and critical hits deal a lot more damage, 2 to 3 times as much damage. That is awesome, and something that you want to use, because we need as much value as we can from every single hit. Weakness gives you that. Blessing of War is also, in my opinion, a mandatory talent, because the first 12 seconds is when you have full troop counts. After 12 seconds you will have taken damage, and that means less damage dealt, but with Blessing of War we just get as much output as we possibly can in the beginning of the fight. Right, so like I said, I was also going to be talking about, or at least presenting, my builds. These are not, you know, don't see this and think this is the best possible thing to do. Think of this as the best I've done this far. I'm changing them around every single day. I am never running the same exact setup. I'm doing slight changes all the time to test out different kind of things, and this is just sort of where I am at with Venom, and something that you can look at and say, oh, that was perhaps a good idea, I'm gonna do that. And all the stuff that you've figured out that I haven't, put that down in a comment below and just keep doing that, right? Because we're all learning here. But this is my main build. This is my Boss Killer Kublai Khan Alex build. It is by far the best one I have. It relies on all of these blessings to Berserk and Instigation, Resist, Weakness, Blessing of Speed, Blessing of War, to pump up the damage of Kublai Khan and Alex as much as possible. Furthermore, it's a hyper energy region built on Kublai Khan. AR and Wind Rage means that he casts his ability all the time deals a lot of damage on his own and applies a huge physical damage debuff, increasing the physical damage taken on the boss, which is just awesome for our Alex, who is the prime star here. Alex is by far the star of the show. He deals insane amounts of damage. I run him with Berserker, Anger, and Combo because I have Wind Rage for my Energy Regen build. Otherwise, that is very good on him as well. But that is my single target damage build for this. Changes, things I'm not going to be doing next time I'm fighting Venom. I am probably not gonna be running full coverage. That didn't do as much damage as I hoped. It's an AoE skill, so of course it's best for AoE encounters, but I was thinking that with enough energy regen, Kublai Khan could dish out a lot of damage with this. Unfortunately, he didn't. I think I'm gonna be running something like that victory thing, buffing his ultimate ability damage, buffing his damage every time his ultimate ability deals damage. I was also considering doing Rage Blessing here. That might do slightly better as well. My second build is my Holy. It's Venom's weakness, and it dealt almost 100 million damage. Like I said, this is where I'm at right now, and like I said, Theo didn't work with AR, so I would change that down to William. I'd also toss out Blessing of Defense, just because we have Resist on. Blessing of Defense was overkill in this setup. Theo heals a lot, and with Resist we're not taking that much damage in the beginning anyway, so I would probably swap that out maybe with Blessing of War, which as you can see I've forgotten about for this setup. That is where I'm at with my Holy. If I had Yoshi, again, I could use him instead of Gilgamesh, but I would probably use him in my Fire instead of my Cyrus. This worked quite well, and is something that you may want to take something away from. William, of course, is great for anything because he ups your chance to critically hit, and that just is very nice for any setup. For our Fire, it is as always, and of course, a hyper energy regen build on Hippolyta. It dealt only 50.1 million damage. That's okay, given that this is really a work in progress, but something that should be quite a lot higher if I get it set up right. A combo with Wind Rage made Hippolyta deal a ton of damage. When she was not using her ultimate ability, just laser beaming the boss, it was getting combo procs and just a massive amount of damage. Very nice synergy AR combo with Wind Rage. Charles did well in defending with Blessing of War, Resist, and Weakness. He's our support here. He did very well with his shields. Shields work well against continuous damage, so Venom spread is quite nice to have your Charles shielding. Empress Wu dealt a lot of damage, poised, as you can see. As I said, single target tower knowledge skills, we buff her damage with concentration. Root for single target damage, it's very good, and Poison Thorn for single target damage. I'm doing Spell Disintegration on Cyrus. It dealt a surprising amount of damage from Cyrus, but more importantly, it made the magic damage weakness debuff on the boss, pumping up Wu's damage even further. Instigation, of course, Control, Confusion, and Blessing of Rage, because we are in a very energy regen reliant setup here. We are not relying on an Alexander doing truckloads of normal attack damage. We are relying on ultimates here, both for defense and offense. I would probably have tossed out Roots and run Spell Disintegration on Wu, and done a Yoshi here, like I've said before, an Anger Onslaught Yoshi. Maybe I would have given him AR and given Burst to Hippo instead. I think that could do more damage, and I'm going to try that next week. But it worked pretty well, and something that you maybe can take some inspiration from. For the last bit of this video, something that I've been asked quite a lot is, how do you run your boss? You're running Rift Breaker bosses or Spider Killer bosses without lifelink and absolute defense. You're a madman. It is awesome. You always need these talents. No, you don't need Link and 80 for Venom. Venom, in particular, as I've said maybe 30 times by now, deals damage with Venom Spread, its magical damage, and its continuous dot damage in AoE on all your immortals. We're not seeing a truckload of damage on your tanking immortal. Some of the other bosses, Vampirism and Amplify, you you can do this kind of setup on them, and I'm gonna be testing that for the next bosses as well, and I have gotten better results in the past with it. But specifically on Venom, it sucks. Like, as you can see here, I did one where just sort of to prove my point, right? 7% damage, 2.5 million lifelink damage transfer. That's nothing. That is peanuts. That is 2 combo hits with Alex. I mean, that is absolutely nothing. And a complete waste of 2 skill abilities that could have been used to up Kublai Khan's damage significantly or your team's defense. So don't run lifelink AD against Venom. Right, that is all I had for this video. I hope that this answers at least some of your questions. I hope that this gives you some inspiration for how to run your Venom builds, and please do send your setups. Hit me up if you got something working crazy good. Comment down below, send it on Discord, whatever. Yeah, I am I'm spending quite a bit of time trying to get the best possible Rift Breaker setups, and I have not achieved that yet, but it is a work in progress. So do help out. It's always fun to theorycraft together. Anyway, that is the video. Thank you for watching. I am Myrak, server 105. You can find me there, and you can find me on Discord. You can find me on the IK Wiki website, on YouTube, etc. Thank you very much for watching, and see you on the next one. As always, please do subscribe to the channel. I consistently release new content here on the IK channel and on the official IK Wiki website. Links are in the description. On these channels you can find guides from everything in IK, from events to talents, passives, finished builds, and game mechanics. With that, I'm gonna leave you, and as always, thank you for watching, and see you for the next one.